The containment valley lacked a name pronounceable by humans. The alien consortium referred to it as a proving basin, a space where biology and doctrine converged, and the less viable narrative perished. It lay beneath a towering dome of transparent composite material, vast enough to foster its own climate. The terrain within comprised rolling ridges and shallow gullies, interspersed with patches of hard rock and sparse shrubs. No trees stood, nothing tall enough to offer concealment. The landscape was engineered to eliminate excuses. Above the valley, rings of observation seats encircled the dome. Rows of analysts, officers, and researchers peered through lenses that fed data directly into their implants. Heat maps, motion vectors, stress indicators. Every exhalation within the basin registered as a numerical value. The subject of their convergence stirred in the distant enclosure. This creature was not a product of evolution, but of engineering, fabricated in a laboratory by a species that viewed ecosystems as experimental canvases. It was designated a harrow apex, a predator designed to dominate any world it permeated. It moved on 4 robust limbs, complemented by a 5th pair of smaller forelimbs nestled beneath its chest, ideal for grappling. Its hide featured overlapping plates that flexed rather than fractured. Its head bore a wedge of bone and horn, capable of perforating barriers. Its mouth, broad and deep, was lined with teeth shaped for retention, not incision. It harbored no inclination to warn. It charged, it crushed, it consumed afterwards. Its creators had sought a creature devoid of hesitation, and they had succeeded. A gate on the far side of the basin opened, admitting a man. His name was Aaron Mercer. He wore simple field attire, devoid of armor, helmet, or weapons. Only a compact harness across his chest, housing sensors for the consortium's monitoring, adorned him, a stipulation they had insisted upon. Aaron paused near the central ridge, surveying the valley. His expression remained tranquil. His gaze traversed the landscape deliberately, noting slopes, rocky expanses, and the way the thin brush broke up visual lines. To the observers, he seemed unprepared. To the scientists, he registered as data. A senior analyst positioned in the upper tier spoke, their voice translated into the common channel. Human subject confirms no weapon. Another voice, sharper, responded, He is either brave or ignorant. A third, from a military officer, added, He is bait. Aaron did not glance upwards. A small drone hovered near him, projecting a message in crisp symbols that translated into spoken words. Instruction: remain within marked bounds. Do not exit the basin. Engage only if necessary. Aaron raised a hand in acknowledgement, but offered no verbal response. On the opposite side, the harrow apex shifted, sensing movement. Its muscles rippled beneath its plates. The scent of a living being and open ground triggered a primal response in its mind. The gate to its pen unlatched, and the creature emerged. The atmosphere within the dome grew tense. It did not stalk. It did not circle. It lowered its head and began to run, the ground trembling with each stride. Plates along its shoulders rose and settled with the rhythm of its gait. The smaller forelimbs flexed, poised to seize and pin. Observers leaned forward, their lenses zoomed. Motion analysis traced lines across the beast's body and the distance separating it from the human. The projected time to contact was less than 4 seconds. In the stands, some viewers averted their gaze. They had witnessed enough such demonstrations to foresee the inevitable. An unarmed body, being transformed into empirical evidence. Aaron Mercer remained motionless. He did not retreat. He did not raise his hands. He merely subtly shifted his stance. A change in foot angle, a slight flexion of the knees, a minor rotation of the hips, as if aligning himself with the slope. Motion analysis flagged it, initially as a low priority note, then again. Aaron took a single step to his left, not away from the beast, but directly across its projected path. His movement did little to alter the distance, but significantly changed the angle. The Harrow apex maintained its charge, head down, its trajectory direct. Aaron took another step, then another, each one precise. He did not sprint, he did not flinch. He drifted along the ridge, staying just off the beast's direct approach. The observers began to discern the pattern. One analyst spoke uncertainly. "He is not running." A second replied, "He is repositioning." A third scoffed, "To where? There is no cover." The beast closed the final distance and lunged. Its horned head lifted at the last instant, aiming to strike the human in the chest and drive him to the ground. The smaller forelimbs extended forward, claws spread. Aaron moved. He stepped towards the beast, not away. He shifted his weight and rotated his torso, allowing the horn to pass closely by his right side instead of piercing him. His left hand brushed the edge of the horn ridge, not to halt it, but to guide its line of trajectory. The Harrow apex struck empty air. Its momentum carried it forward. Its claws scraped against stone. Its head swung wide as it attempted to correct its course. Aaron was already circling it. The observers then grasped it. Not a panic-driven dodge, but a calculated combination of footwork, angle adjustment, and timing. The beast had fully committed to its attack, oblivious to the fact that it was being directed. The Harrow apex attempted to pivot, but its bulk and velocity conspired against it. Plates along its flank shifted as it strained to turn. Its rear limbs dug in, tearing up the ground. Aaron closed the distance, moving in close to the beast's shoulder, where the horn and jaws could not reach without a full body rotation. He stayed tight, almost pressed to the plates, utilizing the beast's own mass as a barrier between himself and its weapons. He reached for a seam in the plating, his fingers probing for the joint beneath the shoulder. The beast bellowed and swung a forelimb. Aaron ducked under it, still moving, still within its arc. He was not striving to outrun the predator. He was striving to remain where it could not attack. Above, the crowd transitioned from excitement to confusion. An officer spoke, his voice low. "He is closing." A scientist replied, "That is impossible. It will crush him." A senior analyst highlighted the motion vectors on the display. "He is controlling the line. He is shaping the turn radius." The Harrow apex surged forward once more, attempting to regain a direct charge. Aaron allowed it. He stepped in the same drifting pattern, drawing it towards a patch of harder stone, where traction favored feet over claws. The beast lunged again. Aaron angled once more. The horn struck the stone ridge. The impact jolted through the beast's head and neck. Its momentum faltered. For the first time, it hesitated. That hesitation lasted less than a second, yet it was enough. Aaron stepped in close, planted his feet, and drove his shoulder into the beast's side, at the joint where plate met muscle. He capitalized on the beast's stunned moment to unbalance its weight. The Harrow apex stumbled. A sound rippled through the stands, a rising murmur. The observers then understood, not as a theory, but as a fact. The hunt had shifted direction. The apex beast had charged at the human, but it was the human who dictated its course. The Harrow apex recovered with a speed unmatched by any natural predator. Its rear limbs dug into the ground, and it wrenched its body sideways, plates grinding against stone. Dust billowed in a thick cloud. Its head snapped towards Aaron, jaws opening wide enough to engulf a torso. Saliva sprayed across the ridge. Aaron was already moving. He did not retreat. He stepped closer, keeping himself tight against the beast's shoulder. The motion trackers registered it, flagging the proximity as a fatal error. Every model predicted crushing force within a fraction of a second. Instead, Aaron slid along the beast's side. His boots found purchase where the stone emerged through the soil. He shifted his weight again, maintaining his body at an angle that forced the beast's head to turn excessively to reach him. The harrow apex roared and attempted to swing its body around. Its tail lashed, heavy enough to fracture bone. Aaron ducked inside its arc and pressed a hand against the beast's flank, not to push, but to feel. The observers noted the contact. One analyst frowned. "Why is he touching it?" Another replied, "Balance feedback." The beast's breathing was loud and irregular. Each breath lifted the plates along its ribs. Aaron synchronized his movement to this rhythm, stepping when the ribs expanded, pausing when they contracted. The harrow apex lunged sideways, attempting to pin him against the ground. Aaron allowed himself to be driven back 2 steps, then pivoted at the last instant. The beast's weight swept past him and slammed into the ridge again. Stone cracked. The impact shook the basin. The harrow apex faltered. Its front limbs slipped on loose rock. Its center of mass shifted too far forward. Aaron moved behind it, but not directly. He remained offset, a step back from the line of the spine, where the beast's rear legs could not kick without turning its entire body. He reached again for the seam beneath the shoulder plate, and found it this time, his fingers locking into the gap where muscle and joint met. The harrow apex screamed and twisted. Aaron held on, his boots dragging grooves through the dirt as the beast tried to break free. His harness sensors spiked as strain readings climbed. The observers watched the numbers rise into zones they associated with injury. Aaron did not let go. He leveraged the beast's pull to move with it, staying close, forcing it to bear his weight while denying it a clean strike. The harrow apex reared, lifting its front limbs and snapping its jaws downwards. Aaron ducked under the head and drove his weight into the joint again, this time with his shoulder and hip simultaneously. The beast's forelimb buckled. It was not broken, but compromised. The harrow apex dropped back to all fours, now unbalanced. One forelimb did not bear weight properly. Its gait altered. The observers instantly noticed the change. One of them spoke with disbelief. "Its mobility is degraded." Another answered, "By unarmed contact." Aaron released the joint and stepped away just as the beast swung its head back around. The creature's horn narrowly missed him. He slowly exhaled. The harrow apex, momentarily confused, took a step back. It had never encountered prey that remained so close. Instinct urged another assault, but its injured limb and the uneven terrain made a direct charge risky. Instead, it began to circle, and Aaron mirrored its movement. They traced an arc around the ridge, predator and human, maintaining a constant distance. On the monitors, the observers noted the stable relative distance and optimal human position, signifying a shrinking window for the beast's attack. A military officer leaned forward, asserting, "He's forcing it to choose between swiftness and stability." A scientist retorted, "That creature has never faced such a dilemma." With a growl, the harrow apex lunged again, this time more deliberately, intending to use its heft rather than speed. Its jaws snapped shut mere inches from Aaron's shoulder. Aaron deftly moved past its head, delivering a sharp, forceful blow to the beast's side with his forearm, not to inflict harm, but to redirect its momentum. The creature stumbled, corrected its balance, but at the cost of its drive. Its breathing became ragged, and foam appeared at the corners of its mouth. Aaron retreated 2 steps, raising his hands, not in surrender, but in challenge. The harrow apex hesitated, then charged once more. This time, Aaron did not evade. He stepped forward, then angled sharply aside at the last instant, allowing the beast to brush so near that he felt the heat radiating from its body. The harrow apex overextended, its hind limbs slipping on the patch of stone Aaron had subtly guided it towards. With a resounding crash, it toppled to the ground on its side, the impact shaking the basin even more profoundly than before. Aaron wasted no time. In 3 swift strides, he closed the distance, planting his knee against the beast's shoulder joint, pinning its compromised limb to the ground with his weight. The harrow apex thrashed and roared, its remaining limbs clawing at the dirt, its jaws snapping uselessly at the air. Aaron leaned in, his voice low and calm. "Easy." The observers froze. One analyst whispered, "Is he communicating with it?" Another responded, "He's regulating his breathing." The harrow apex struggled, but its movements grew uncoordinated, its nervous system overwhelmed by pain and loss of balance. Despite its immense strength, it couldn't apply it effectively. Aaron adjusted his stance, maintaining pressure on the joint while shifting his weight to avoid the snapping jaws. Strain etched his face. Sweat beaded on his temple. His teeth were clenched, yet his gaze remained fixed. The harrow apex made one last attempt to roll over. Aaron rode the motion, shifting with it, keeping the joint secured. Finally, the beast's struggles diminished. Its bellowing dwindled to a low, frustrated rumble. Med-drones above the basin surged forward, alarms flashing. A senior analyst sharply ordered, "End the test." Another voice countered, "Wait, he's not done." Aaron perceived the change before the sensors confirmed it. The beast's breathing steadied. Its thrashing ceased. He released the joint and slowly stepped back. The harrow apex remained prone. It did not charge again. It watched him. For the first time since its creation, the apex predator was at a loss. The observers then grasped another truth. This was never a test of power. It was a lesson in resolve. The beast had been committed to the attack, the human to the hunt. That distinction made all the difference. The basin now felt smaller. Its physical dimensions remained unchanged, but the energy within it had transformed. The harrow apex lay still, its chest heaving, its eyes fixed on Aaron Mercer. Its body held unspent strength, yet its instincts had faltered. The charge response, its defining characteristic, had failed twice. Its systems had no protocol for this. Aaron stood a short distance away, feet planted, hands open at chest height. He neither advanced nor retreated. His breathing regulated as his heart rate returned to normal. The observers awaited his final action against the creature, the typical conclusion to such demonstrations. It didn't happen. Aaron took a careful step to his right, widening the arc between them. The harrow apex tracked him with its head, but remained on the ground. One forelimb twitched, then stilled. The joint he had targeted earlier was now stiff, its movement restricted. A scientist spoke into the shared channel. "Its aggression loop is degrading." A military officer retorted, "No, its certainty is." Aaron shifted again, probing for a reaction. The beast growled low in its throat, but stayed grounded. Its tail scraped against the stone instead of lashing. Aaron nodded once, almost imperceptibly. He moved closer, not directly, but at an angle that kept the beast's damaged shoulder facing him. Each step was slow and deliberate. He made no sudden movements. The telemetry showed elevated but stable human stress levels and high but erratically spiking beast adrenaline. One analyst leaned into his display. "He's pacing it." Another replied, "He's letting it discover something." Aaron stopped 5 steps away. The Harrow apex lowered its head slightly, not in submission, but in assessment. Its eyes followed Aaron's hands. Aaron crouched, maintaining a low center, and pressed one palm flat against the ground, never breaking eye contact. The beast's breathing slowed a fraction more. It had never encountered prey that controlled the distance in such a manner. Its instincts dictated either charge when threatened or flee when outmatched. This was neither. Aaron rose again and took 1 step closer. The Harrow apex shifted its weight, beginning to push itself upright. The movement was awkward. The damaged limb couldn't bear full weight. It compensated by leaning away, exposing its flank. Aaron didn't exploit it. He waited. The beast stood, unsteady but upright. It neither roared nor charged. A ripple went through the stands among the observers. One voice whispered, "It's hesitating." Another responded, "That creature wasn't designed to hesitate." Aaron angled his body slightly, presenting less of a frontal profile. His hands remained open. His stance stayed grounded. The Harrow apex took a step backward. Not quickly, not panicked. A single step. The basin fell silent. Several observers stood without realizing it. A senior analyst spoke carefully. "We are witnessing a role reversal." A scientist added, "The predator is surrendering space." The Harrow apex backed away another step, then another. Its head remained low, eyes locked on Aaron. It wasn't retreating from fear, it was retreating from uncertainty. Aaron advanced in sync, always just close enough, never touching, never rushing. The beast turned its body sideways, angling towards one of the gullies leading back to its pen gate. Its movements were careful now, conserving balance. Aaron followed. The observers finally grasped the full scope of what they were witnessing. The human wasn't trying to defeat the apex beast. He was returning it. The Harrow apex reached the edge of the gully and paused. Its head briefly turned towards the open basin, and behind it, then back to Aaron. Aaron stopped and stood still, lowering his hands. The beast hesitated, then took another step back, then another, easing itself into the gully's shallow slope. Its movements grew more confident as the ground leveled and traction improved. It did not turn its back. Aaron remained where he was. The Harrow apex continued retreating until it reached the shadow of the pen structure. Only then did it turn fully, moving with greater speed, but without panic. It passed through the open gate and disappeared inside. The gate closed behind it. The basin was empty. For several seconds, no one spoke. Then came the sound, not cheering, not outrage, but a low, rising murmur of disbelief and recalculation. Aaron stood alone in the proving basin, his shoulders rising and falling as the last of the strain left his body. He did not raise his arms. He did not acknowledge the stands. A drone descended towards him, projecting a message. "Test subject, please remain in place." Aaron nodded and stayed still. High above, the observers argued in clipped bursts of data and speech. "This invalidates multiple ecological models. He never attacked it with intent to kill. He controlled its movement without tools. The creature retreated." A military officer finally vocalized what none of the scientists wanted to hear. "If he can do that to an engineered apex predator, he can do it to trained soldiers." Silence followed. The implication was clear. Strength and speed had not determined the encounter. Control had. Aaron sensed the ground crew approaching before he saw them. He turned as the access hatch opened and stepped out of the basin unassisted. As he departed, he glanced once over his shoulder at the closed pen gate. The apex beast was alive. So was the lesson. The observers now possessed knowledge they hadn't planned to acquire. The most dangerous hunter in the basin had never been the one that charged first. The proving basin was cleared within minutes. Ground crews worked with practiced speed, sealing the gully, reinforcing the pen gate, and resetting the terrain markers. To an outsider, it appeared to be routine maintenance. To the observers, it felt like an attempt to erase evidence. Aaron Mercer was escorted to a quiet chamber beneath the observation tiers. No restraints, no urgency. A medic scanned him, while a technician reviewed the harness data. Strain markers were elevated, minor abrasions, nothing requiring intervention. "You're cleared," the medic stated. Aaron nodded. "Thanks." The technician hesitated, then inquired, "Where did you learn that?" Aaron considered. "Work, training, time?" The technician didn't ask what kind. Above them, the review session had already begun. The encounter replayed on a wall-sized display, slowed to fractions of speed that revealed every decision. Analysts spoke in measured tone. No laughter or dismissals followed. "Notice the initial angle," one observed. "He never attempted to evade," another added. "He gained control of the approach vector within 2 steps. A third voice chimed in. "The creature was locked into linear acceleration and couldn't disengage without losing its balance." They paused the video at the exact moment the horn struck stone. "That impact halted the charge," the senior analyst stated. "Everything that followed was a failure of recovery." A military officer leaned forward. "He transformed the beast's advantage into a limitation." "Indeed," the analyst confirmed, "by allowing it to dictate its own speed." A hush fell over the room until a scientist broke it. "This challenges our assumption that superior force is required for apex dominance." The officer responded flatly. "It implies that dominance requires the opponent to commit first." Another voice contributed, "He never approached the creature as prey. He treated it like territory." That last statement lingered on the display for a considerable time. In the chamber below, Aaron was offered water and a seat, both of which he accepted. He sat upright, his hands resting on his knees. The door reopened, and he looked up to see a delegation enter. They wore no lab coats, only insignia of rank. The lead representative, speaking through a translator, began. "You were instructed to engage only if necessary." Aaron nodded. "Yes, you engaged. I was charged. You did not retreat. No, you did not neutralize the organism. No. Why?" Aaron met the representative's gaze. "Because it ceased to be necessary." A moment of silence passed. "You could have inflicted lethal damage," the representative remarked. "Yes." "You chose not to." "Yes." "Explain." Aaron mused for a moment. "It was doing what it was built to do. Charging, committing. Once that stopped, the threat ended." The representative clasped his hands. "You returned it to containment." "Yes." "You hunted it," the representative observed, not accusingly. "Then you released it." Aaron shook his head. "I guided it." Another representative spoke up. "That distinction matters." "Yes," Aaron agreed. "That's precisely why I'm making it." The silence stretched before the lead representative offered a slight nod. Not a concession, but an acknowledgement. "The consortium will revise its assessment," he stated. Aaron didn't inquire how. He was dismissed shortly thereafter. As Aaron departed the complex, the basin was already undergoing reclassification. The Harrow Apex would no longer be used in public displays. Not because it had failed, but because it had unveiled something the consortium was unprepared to publicize. That engineered dominance could be redirected, that commitment could be exploited, and that an unarmed human could reshape an encounter by refusing to behave like prey. In the following days, reports circulated through discreet channels, not dramatic broadcasts, but internal briefs, training advisories, and risk updates. A recurring phrase, in various iterations, emerged: "Do not allow humans to dictate engagement terms." On the transport away from the station, Aaron sat alone by a viewport. Stars drifted by in serene silence. His body ached now that the tension had dissipated, and he welcomed it. Pain affirmed his presence. A message appeared on his console from a coordinator on Earth. "Demonstration complete. Any notes?" Aaron typed a brief reply. "Apex predators rely on commitment. Control the commitment, and you control the encounter." He sent it and powered down the console. Back on the station, the observers continued their review for many hours. They no longer argued. They adjusted. A junior analyst quietly remarked, "We thought the beast was the hunter." The senior analyst replied, "It was." "Then how did it charge?" The senior analyst simply stated, "The human dictated its path." That understanding solidified into doctrine. The Harrow Apex remained alive in its enclosure. It would hunt again on worlds designed to fear it. But those who had witnessed the events in the basin knew the truth. The most perilous moment had not been the charge. It had been the instant the human stepped aside. That was when the hunt shifted course. By the time onlookers grasped which individual was pursuing, it had already occurred.